What's going on, guys? And that Walmart money is for real. The Broncos spent a ton this offseason and they got a lot of good players. We'll get into that a little later in the video because we have to acknowledge. It would be wrong of me to not acknowledge that the winner of free agency is rarely the winner of the Super Bowl. It's rarely the winner of the playoffs. That team is rarely the winner of the regular season even. It's just not the way you would like to go about it. You would like to draft players, develop them, use that rookie contract. That's the best way to build a team. The Broncos just aren't in a situation where they can. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a pass. And to refresh everybody, they traded 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and 3 players for Russell Wilson last offseason. And then this offseason doubled down. They traded a first-round pick for Sean Payton. They just couldn't build their team that way. So I'm going to give them a little bit of a pass. Now, they got some good players, and they had to. The Broncos have to see what Russell Wilson is going to look like with a competent roster next year. Furthering that, you want to see Sean Payton bring in Sean Payton guys. And if these are his guys, I'm happy with it. And I think that's exactly what they did. So at the point I am recording this video, the Broncos have signed 5 offensive free agents. And they all do have a shared quality, something I kind of want to break down and prove to people. So we're going to go individually with it. First, the most expensive by far, Mike McGlinchey, signing a 5-year, $87.5 million deal. Obviously, the former San Francisco 49er worked with Kyle Shanahan and is known as a really good run blocker. Now with McGlinchey, I'll say this. It is absolutely obvious why he once was a first-round pick. At 6'8" and 310 pounds, he is a mammoth of a human being, and he moves really, really well for somebody at that size. If there is an area he struggles in, it's just not physically, and honestly, that's the area of his game that translates the best. More specifically, the run, where he's extremely quick out of his stance, and he does a really good job at hitting his landmarks down the field. That same explosiveness can also be effective in the screen game, or when he's pulling, or just generally when he's on the move. Is he the best tackle in the world in the run? No, but he definitely is effective. But you probably have noticed I didn't include any plays of him as a pass protector. And honestly, guys, it's for good reason. It's not the area he's best in. And quite frankly, he struggles as a pass protector. While being this big 6'8" athlete, you love it from your right tackles. It also allows people to get under him really easy. When you pair that with sloppy hands, his hand placement can be a little all over the place. He gets driven back into his quarterback way too often. However, I do love how the Broncos are investing into that position. It's been a revolving door for years. It's just, if there is a signing that worries me, it would be this one. But let's move on to a signing I am really excited for. Ben Powers, formerly of the Baltimore Ravens, and played under that smash-mouth football team John Harbaugh has been cultivating down there for years. The Broncos ended up getting him on a 4-year, $51.5 million deal. And guys, I think the Broncos got a good one here. So immediately after the signing, I was a little bit skeptical, I won't lie. But mostly because it seemed like everybody was talking about how much he struggled on the move. But after taking a look at the film, I have to say, I disagree. He for sure isn't the most athletic, but he's extremely accurate. He meets defenders where they're going, not where they are. And at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. As you guys can see in these clips, he's made a ton of plays when asked to pull, and I just don't see him missing assignments due to a lack of athleticism like people were talking about. To go along with that, he also has really good power. He's a fighter, and you can visibly see that he likes competition. He likes playing the best. Also, based off last year's film, he is a really good pass blocker. He shows consistent technique and has a good enough anchor to sit down when playing these great interior defensive linemen. If I were to critique the Ben Powers signing, it would be based off of how much he improved last season. And I know that sounds crazy. Why am I critiquing a player for getting better, especially at his age range? 25, 26. These guys should still be expected to improve. It's just from the Broncos' perspective, they're paying $51.5 million for the player they saw last season, not the season before that or the season before that. So sample size, that's the small concern. And to be honest, I have no reason to believe it was just a fluke season. To me, it looked like good old-fashioned improvement. The next new addition to the Broncos I'd like to highlight is Samaje Perine, the big back out of the University of Oklahoma, formerly of the Washington Commanders and Cincinnati Bengals. He signed a 2-year, $7.5 million deal with the Broncos, and he's never really been the back to get the workload. He's never been that 20-touch-a-game guy, but that might change in Denver. Every clip you guys are about to watch during the Samaje Perine segment is from the same game. Matter of fact, they're all from the same drive. Here's the scenario. The Bengals are up and they're just attempting to run the clock out. And who better to give the football to than your 235-pound back? The answer is nobody. Listen, Samaje Perine has good vision. He has better feet than I could have imagined for somebody at his size. But for the most part, the guy runs like a 235-pound back. He's going to hit you. He's going to fall forward. He brings a physical style of football. But that's really not even the best part of his game. The best part of his game comes with the niche he created for himself as a Cincinnati Bengal. He's a third down back. He's going to block you. He's a tremendous blocker. He's one of the best blocking running backs in the entire league. He's also a really good pass catcher. That's the niche he's made for himself. And I think in Sean Payton's running back by committee system, he can really be valuable. But with that being said, if you think that Perine's going to come in and be a 1,500-yard running back, I would say that's a little rich. I don't think that he is that guy. I mentioned running back by committee for a reason, and it's because Perine fits a role for the Broncos, right? He fills a need. It is a need. But is he the workhorse? I'm still not sold on that. He'll get more carries than he did in Cincinnati, but the Broncos should definitely still go out there, draft a running back. Where Perine may not be great, make this other running back really good. And for the last two players I'm including in today's video, Chris Manhertz and Mike Burton. These two guys, I'm not going to sit there and break all the way down and show a bunch of clips. I'm just going to explain their game because they're specialists. For example, Mike Burton, he didn't play more than 15% of snaps in any game this last season. Chris Manhertz, he didn't have more than 6 receptions all last season. They're out there for one reason and one reason only. That's to block. But still, I think it's going to help me explain what Sean Payton is trying to build down here, what the offensive identity might look like. Now having an idea of what all these players' skill sets bring to the Broncos individually, let's take a step back. Let's examine this list as a whole. Guys, I think there's a pretty clear theme here. The Broncos are trying to become tough. They're trying to become a smash-mouth football team. And that's what Sean Payton is bringing to the Broncos this offseason. Do I like every single signing on surface level? Of course not. I went through this. I have concerns about guys. I told you, Mike McGlinchey probably isn't my favorite signing. But what I can live with is the Broncos identifying a trait and chasing it. To go along with that, it makes sense why the Broncos would be prioritizing that specific trait. Every single offseason addition the Broncos have made, and we've gone over in this video, has positively affected the running game. And Russell Wilson's your quarterback. You know where he's good. You know where he's bad. And where he's bad is throwing over the middle of the field in the quick game. And you have to dictate what formation the defense is in. That's always been the best version of Russ. Since he's been in Seattle, you want to open it up for him. You want to highlight the good and mitigate the bad. And you do that by getting teams out of two-shell. And it's important for the Broncos. They have to figure out the quarterback position. The Broncos go as far as the quarterback position allows them. And to do that, you have to figure out if Russ is good or bad this year.